When I grow up, I want to be what? A scientist, a celebrity, an engineer, or maybe even an astronaut or a basketball player. I want to own a huge house, have dozens of cars, and never have to wake up early for my job. But don't we all? Every single person that I've heard respond to this question has had a similar response. Everybody wants the huge houses and cool cars, but who's willing to actually do it? All of these things that I mentioned are dreams. Dreams that are commonly shared between people of all ages and backgrounds. Dreams are what drive people to wake up in the morning, keep them going throughout the day, and keep them up late at night. A couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and he asked me what my dream was, and I didn't know how to respond. Throughout my whole life, I've always pictured myself winning this and getting that, but I realized I didn't have a dream. So I said, I'm not sure, and I went home. When I got home, I thought about this question. How could I have been so dumb to not have a dream? A place that I wanted to be in 5, 10, or even 20 years. So I sat down and I created my true dream. If you asked me 10 years ago what my dream was, I probably would have said something regarding food or video games, but now I knew my dream. My name is Shehab. I want to be a lawyer somewhere in California, own 6 sports cars, and live within 10 minutes of a beach. And I knew the specifics of my dream too. Anybody could ask me what types of cars I wanted, or even which beaches I wanted to live next to, and I could give them a response. And I recited this dream over and over in my head, so that the next time anybody asked me what my dream was, I could give them a response. As time passed, I was so proud of myself for having this dream. It was my dream. But a problem came up. I realized that I had this huge end goal, but no pathway to get to it. So I sat down once again and created smaller goals to help me achieve my final dream. What makes a dream, you might ask? A dream can be anything from getting a passing grade on your next bio exam to being the next CEO of Apple. The only limit is your imagination, and everybody should have a dream. No matter how big or small it is, it's so important to have a dream and work for it. If you have something in mind, go chase it. As we grow older, I believe that people start to divide themselves into one of 2 groups, dreamers and dream chasers. And the difference between the two revolves around 3 major qualities. Number 1, inspiration. No matter what your goal is, big or small, you need to have that initial inspiration to be able to take that first step. Number 2, planning. Even for the most short-term goals, it's so important to have a solid plan to know what steps you need to take in what periods of time. Number 3, consistency. After taking that first step, it's so important to keep going and to stay consistent with it. Work hard every single day to achieve your dreams. Okay, let me take a step back and tell you a bit about myself. My name is Shehab Mansour, and I'm 17 years old. I was born in the very hot city of Cairo, Egypt, and I lived there until I was about 4 years old. Due to my dad's work, my family had to move to Arizona. And at that age, the concept of flying to the other side of the planet was so unreal to me. I stayed in Arizona for a few years where I learned English, I made friends, and I got a glimpse into the Western culture. But I moved back to Egypt. Then I found out I was moving once again to Canada. And all I thought of Canada at the time was igloos and moose, but it was so much more. It was maple syrup and ice hockey. And I stayed in Canada up until my junior year, where it was time for me to move once again to a place I knew absolutely nothing about, Kentucky. Okay, so why should you care about my life story? I'm just some random stranger after all. Well, going around the world and meeting a countless number of people got an idea in my head about how people around the world chase their dreams. I got to talk with people of all different backgrounds and different cultures and ask them about their dreams. And doing so showed me some really cool similarities and differences. But one stood out above the rest. It's that not enough people chase their dreams. I was so surprised to see that the vast majority of people were dreamers rather than dream chasers. What is a dreamer? A dreamer is the vast majority of us. Dreamers are people that have huge goals and huge aspirations, but they don't work for them. Rather than putting in that time and effort to work for their goals, they just talk about them or think about them. Dreamers are often lazy, unmotivated, and they find themselves procrastinating a lot. And staying in this routine starts to have a negative outcome on their lives. Dreamers find themselves unhappy. When I think of the word dreamer, I think of a good friend of mine. Let's call him Jack. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, Jack sat down with me and told me about his dream. He wanted to become a professional NBA basketball star. He wanted to score dozens of points every single game and be famous all over the world. I saw that he had the inspiration and a somewhat solid plan, so I believed in him. I encouraged him. But Jack was a dreamer. As time passed, he wasn't working to better himself. Rather than practicing and putting in time, he was watching movies and telling me about the video games he was playing. He was always sleeping. I would call him at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he wouldn't even be up yet. And I sat down with Jack almost 2 years later and had the same conversation about his dream. But it was very different this time. He wasn't confident anymore. He knew that others that had similar goals were working towards them while he wasn't, and it was too late for him. On the other hand, we have the dream chasers. These are the role models, the go-getters. These are the people that people look up to in society. These people are so hungry for success that they find their goals and they instantly have the inspiration. They create a plan immediately and start working. And they're super consistent. Every single day they set aside time to work for their goals and better themselves as a person. I had another friend. Let's call him Sam. Sam had the same dream as Jack. He wanted to be a professional basketball star, score dozens of points every game, and be known all over the world. But Sam was a dream chaser. Sam spent at least 1 hour every single day practicing his basketball ability and working by himself. When I would go to a basketball practice, I'd see him there an hour earlier, just working alone. He even cut out junk food just so that he was in the best physical shape of his life. He stayed in this routine for a long time, and with no surprise, he has over 10 different offers from colleges and universities, and he's in the process of choosing one. These two friends of mine are the perfect example of the difference between a dreamer and a dream chaser. While one was being lazy and unmotivated, watching TV and playing video games, the other one worked and worked hard, and they stayed consistent to achieve their goals. This proves that if you want to achieve your dreams, you have to be a dream chaser. So, how do you do that? I've heard about every outcome when it comes to one's future, but I've only heard a few people give me time and resources when talking about their plan. And I know you're thinking now, is a dreamer doomed? I'm sure that many of you, including myself, yeah, not as perfect as I look, are thinking about our own lives and wondering if we could ever be dream chasers. Well, here's some good news. It is possible for somebody that has those dreamer qualities to make changes in their own life and become a dream chaser. Let me use myself as an example. Looking back at myself 5 years ago, I was the definition of a dreamer. I was the laziest person ever. I spent all of my hours watching TV, playing video games, but I had big plans. I had these plans that I told everybody about, and I thought about them, but I never ever worked for them. I stayed in this loop of being a dreamer until I started to see negative outcomes on myself. I was having worse grades at school, my physical shape was getting out of hand, and I was just finding myself more unhappy. The major turning point for me, though, was this provincial exam that I had in Canada. They issue it every year at a specific grade, and I knew that it was my turn to take it next year. I had this huge plan that I was going to work for it and set an hour aside every single day so that by the time it was for me to take it, I was going to ace the test. But I didn't work for it. I always told myself that I have a year, but that year quickly became several months, which became several weeks, and here I was 5 days before the exam, and I hadn't studied one bit. I'm sure you can tell how the exam went, and I'd rather not talk about it, but this was a great moment for me as it woke me up and made me realize that I was on a path to no good. So I made changes in my life. I researched and I talked to others and I gained my inspiration. Then I created a plan. I planned that I was going to set aside time every single day, whether it's to study or to work out or to research about my future, and I followed it. I was consistent and I followed it every single day, and I saw results immediately. My grades were higher than they had ever been before, and I quickly got back in good physical shape. And the most important thing, I was way happier than I had been in a very long time. Although I'm not at a point where I can fully call myself a dream chaser, I definitely can't say that I'm on the right track. Using these strategies has made me so much more confident in my goals and in my future. But the shift from being a dreamer to a dream chaser is one that I've also seen in my peers, my family, and my friends. Once they took these small steps in their lives, they saw true success. I want you to think about it. Do you think it's worth it to chase your dreams? To work hard every single day? To strive for what you want? Or would you rather let fears and laziness stop you from getting there? And I know that we all have dreams. Some may be smaller and some may be larger, and some may be way farther away. We all have them, but who's willing to go chase them? Do you think you're a dreamer or a dream chaser? I want to invite you, take leadership on in your own life. Think about any goals that you have and think of whether or not you're doing what needs to be done to achieve them. If not, it's not too late. Find your inspiration, create a solid plan, and be consistent and follow it. Go do it. There is no limit to what you can achieve, and there is no dream too big if you go out there and do it. It all starts with you. Thank you.